It's a rainy day here in Folsom, and it is the perfect time to be by the fire with a cup of tea and get to planning on all of the different videos that I'm working on. I'm Margaret, hi, with Sacramento Art Classes, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to take the best care of your watercolor brushes to make them last for a long time. And if you stick around till the end of the video, I'll also tell you about a free watercolor challenge that I'm doing in about a week. I hope you'll join me, so stick around and I'll give you the details. Okay, these are all my best tips that I can think of about brush care and how to make your expensive or your inexpensive brushes last as long as possible. So I have a variety of things here that we're going to talk about. First of all, these are my two favorite kinds of brushes. This one is an Escoda brush, and this is a Princeton, and they're on the larger side. So, and then I have another bunch of different brushes over here. I'm going to use this one as my example because it's probably easiest for you to see since it's big. First and foremost, you never want to leave your brush like this in the water because it will make the tip possibly bend or crimp, and it's just not good for the brush hairs. But also this metal part right here, this is called the ferrule, and if this is submerged past here in your water, then water not only has access to run up this way but also down this way, and the ferrule is what holds it all together, and there's glue in there that's holding everything. And the more that you have this submerged in water, the more that glue loosens up, and then you get a wobbly ferrule and you have to put it back, glue in there, and it's just not a good thing. So you want to rinse and then get your brush out of there. And when you're ready to, you can either use something like this. This is a dirty sponge, but if you need to blot, I like to blot on either a towel or a sponge. In a pinch, I'll use a paper towel. It's not a big deal. But it takes the excess water and you can wipe it or you can blot it. You don't want to do this kind of thing where you're, mashing it down there. I used to be a school teacher and the kids did that all the time. And then you see that I have my sponge in this ashtray, which I got at a garage sale because it is a great brush holder. It has those places where the cigarettes used to go, and now it's for brushes. So that's what I use. So that's number one, never leave your brush in water. Number two, when you're drying your brush, you want to lay it flat. You don't want to lay it in a jar this way because, again, all the water will run down the ferrule and kind of accumulate in here. You want to have a chance to have your brushes dry flat or even a little bit this way. I've seen holders where there's like springs or something that you can hold your brush this way. You don't want it to bend on the end, but you can have it run a little downhill. What I usually do is I lay it on a towel like this, and I make sure that the points or the tips of my brushes are all hanging slightly over the edge, just because what if I do this and maybe it's bent this way a little bit. Accidentally, when I first got some of these brushes, especially this little one, that's what happened. It was resting like a little bit bent by the towel, and it ruined the point on the brush. So one day I'll replace that brush, but you want to lay them flat or so that they can run downhill a little bit and the water will come out, dry out through the bottom, through the tip. Okay, so then we talk about brush cleaning. I do not clean my brushes every single time with soap. I do them maybe every couple weeks or something, and you can buy something like this. This is, it's called the Masters Brush Cleaner, and it's just a soap cake in here. This is forever old and it's really dirty, but there's nothing wrong with it. It stays great. And what you do is you're going to get your brush a little bit wet and shush it around on the top here. And if your brush has any kind of paint left over, even after you've rinsed it, look at that, you can see it may be a slight pink color. So even though I rinsed this brush, what I thought was pretty carefully, we still have some pink in there. So you want to maybe do that every once in a while, especially colors like phthalo turquoise and some of the reds, they'll really get lodged in there. So I use that brush cleaner, and then you want to rinse it out when you're done. If you don't have brush cleaner, you can just use shampoo. Just like a baby shampoo or just a gentle shampoo. I would not use something harsh like for dandruff or for, stripping the extra, what is it called? Residue, that hair products leave. You don't want a clarifying shampoo. Don't use that. It's probably a little harsh for this. Okay, so this is now rinsed, cleaned and rinsed, and I can store it flat. What else we gonna talk about? Let's say you have a brush that did get a little bend in it. What you can do is this: when you're done with it for the day, rinse it out, take some hair gel. This is not hair gel, but we're gonna pretend, because I don't really use gel and I couldn't find the little container that I have anywhere. So we're pretending that this is hair gel. It's not, it's really cleaner, so I'm gonna have to wash this out. But you can take your brush and run it in the gel so the hairs are all coated, and then reform it into a beautiful point and leave it to dry for however long it takes to dry. It's going to be really stiff and crispy, and you'll have to rinse it out in water, but this can help you reform a brush that loses the tip or has a little bend in it. So I'm going to rinse this right away, because like I told you, that is not really gel. It's actually face wash. So we're going to make sure that that's all out of my brush really well. Okay, so we've done those things. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is how you're going to store your brushes. When you first buy a brush, sometimes it comes with like a little straw, like a clear plastic protective, it's like a straw that goes over the top of the hairs to keep them from getting bent in transit. Once you remove that, man, I just feel like you got to throw those away, because getting them back on just right where you're not accidentally bending the brush, even just one hair getting bent, is a pain. So I just throw those away. And by the way, if you do get one hair that gets bent or springs out and it won't connect back with the rest of your brush, don't pull it out. Just let it get a tiny little scissor. Do I have one here? No, I don't. But a tiny scissor, and just trim it off short. You don't want to pull it out, because even though it's microscopic, it will loosen this whole batch of hairs just a little bit. And then eventually, if you do that enough times, then the hairs can fall out more easily. Okay, so now we're going to talk about brush holders. There's lots of different kinds. This one right here is very inexpensive. I've had it for so long, I don't even remember where I got it, but probably any art supply or Amazon. So it just unrolls, and if you're crafty, you could even make this somehow, maybe a placemat that has a little stiffness to it, because you don't want this to be able to bend, because again, your brush hairs will bend. And then it's got pockets in there, so it keeps all my brushes. I'm a little careful about putting the bigs next to each other, because sometimes I think, gosh, what if I roll it and I kind of bend things? So I'm careful about rolling it. So there's that kind. That's on the inexpensive side. And then recently, this is a new one I just bought. It turned out to be really giant. I don't even think I can get it all on the camera here, but this is how big it is. And it's the same concept as the last one, where it rolls, but it has a nice flap here that you can fold. Don't fold it too close to the ends of the brushes, because again, you don't want to bend them. But this helps when you're traveling, that they don't slip out through the top. And if you have a cat like mine who wants to get your brushes, this will keep the cat from reaching in and stealing your brushes and then chewing them up. So you can see, I think, again, I don't know how much of this is going to show on the camera because it's pretty huge, but you can get something like that. And I just carefully fold them up. And this is my, I really only use these when I'm traveling, which is at least once a week because I'm teaching. Mostly what I do is I just store my brushes like this, flat. I have a little dish. It's kind of funny. It says, "Life is tricky, babe. Stay in your magic." I got that from a gallery. And then I just use this towel and leave these all here, making sure that the ends of them hang off the edge and don't bump up against something. So that's what I've got for you today. I hope that helps. And if you liked it, give me a thumbs up or share it, or leave a comment. And I can't remember whether I told you about my free supply list that I have. So I'm going to pretend like I did. I have a free supply list, and I have a free video that helps you control the water in your painting, so you don't have too much paint, too much water. And I'm going to link them in the description below this video. So if you're interested, go ahead and click on there, and you can find out more about that. So thanks a lot. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.